Welcome back to the second hour of Hereticus, and we've just wrapped up, at least for the characters, from the characters' point of view, this session with the prisoner. I'm imagining that they've left the cell at this point.
Yes.
To let
I don't know about the others, but
no, so Francesca has at least.
Certainly has, yes.
That's a good question. Then, what about the others? Do you stay in the room or do you also leave?
Well, assuming that the failed willpower test doesn't prevent me from leaving the room, I shall be doing so.
Okay. Well, the results of the willpower test will manifest themselves as Accolon makes ready to leave the room.
Okay.
So, Medea, Tim, are you staying or are you leaving as well?
There's no reason for Tim to be staying.
Okay. And Medea?
Medea hesitates.
Okay.
But then she realizes she probably has a job to do, and sulks and leaves.
Okay. So the failed willpower tests as Accolon, as you just before you think the thought, I should leave now, or whatever it is you think. And as you make ready to leave, you take one last look at the prisoner. Except it's not the prisoner.
Of course not.
On the table onto which the prisoner was strapped lies a black armored skeleton.
Of course it does.
The chest plate has been opened, and the chest as well, and inside the skeleton's chest you see 10 jet black items float around.
Must have shrunk a bit from the last time I saw them, if they can all fit inside his chest cavity.
Well, the thing is, inside that chest cavity you also see stars, you see nebulae, you see planets, you see the galaxy.
All I can say to that is, oh no, that dog just ain't going hunt.
Yeah. He carries the galaxy within his heart, my friends.
And then the vision ends.
Accolon's face and his gaze on the heretic Margor hardens somewhat, but also recognises that there's probably I think Accolon will be smart enough to recognise that although this vision is important, this is still a grunt. He doesn't necessarily know anything. I mean, he already expressed confusion at the mention of the things I talked about before. So, well, unless he was lying, of course. Oh, I don't know what to do. Do I stay and press the matter, or do I just go?
That's up to you.
You're horrible.
Yeah.
I think flattery will get you nowhere in this case, Chris.
No, I didn't think so. No, I think I'll step out of the room. From previous experience, these events have always been specific to Accolon, and they've always involved different people in different circumstances. So there's no reason to suggest that this one is any different, based on logical.
I have a feeling whenever he starts seeing that around Medea, she should really leave.
It is my sincere hope that he never does start seeing it on or around Medea. But anyway, I've made a note of Yep.
Yep. Go ahead.
Is there something you want to tell us, Medea, about your allegiances?
No, I'm just pondering who's sending you these visions.
The
And
Dark
if it's
Gods of
what they-
Chaos.
or if it's what they want you to see, or what you want to see, or what the Emperor wants you to see. See, there's a big difference there.
I think he probably does have a point when he says it's quite likely to be the Dark Gods of Chaos doing this.
So why wouldn't he start seeing that around people that you can actually trust?
Because so far it's only happened around either in solitude or around people that I can't trust, who are, well, actually that's not true. I could have trusted the bishop, and then it turns out he was horrible. But he wasn't. But the point was he wasn't a PC. He didn't have PC immunities. So
Immunities.
Don't call it PC immunities in this group.
When the visions start occurring on people with PCs, then I'll know the situation has really gotten bad. Anyway, I step out. Oh, Akalon rather steps out, looking a bit shaken.
Okay. And Medea's the last one to leave. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, as she leaves,
The good doctor will realize that she's looking at it with a, I so want to see this, but fuck, I probably should leave.
Oh, you're more than welcome to stay.
It's not that she says it; it's just
No,
pretty
but he
obvious
can.
in
Yeah,
her face with
and
I want to stay for this, and then she looks at the door with a, but I should leave.
and that's basically why he says it, is that he can read it like a children's book on your face.
Exactly. She's not good at hiding her emotions because she's never really had to.
No. So he does say that. He says, "Well, you're more than welcome to stay. It'll be a delight."
She looks at the door again and then closes it, staying inside with a huge grin on her face.
Okay, so we'll fade to black on that because we don't need to go into the gruesome details.
What? Pain interests her. She doesn't really feel it the same way, so...
Nope, that's true. And I think that it's actually a good point, is that Medea doesn't feel pain, and she probably wouldn't be able to feel any of the things that the good doctor is doing to the prisoner, and yet the prisoner is in all sorts of hell.
Exactly.
And also, it should also be mentioned that the doctor does actually extract quite a bit of information, which he jots down on a data slate. Yes?
Yeah. No, sorry, you continue, because what I want to say should probably be mentioned after we've got the full picture from you.
Okay. Well, that's basically it. It takes a while, of course, but he does get some information about these so-called baby faces, and also a long list of names of his fellow not conspirators, but heretics, his fellow preachers.
I have to say, if they are the baby faces, we have to be the heels.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's a wrestling expression.
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, baby faces are the good guys, heels are the villains.
Yep.
Oh, I saw that in RuPaul's Drag Race once.
Brilliant place to get that kind of terminology, I have to say.
Yep.
Yes.
So yeah, he gets a lot of information, and you get the sense, that even though Sister Francesca did ask him to make it as quick as possible, if I remember correctly at least, that's not the case.
Actually, when she left, she specifically said that
Do what you
she
want.
didn't. Yes, do what you
That's
want.
true. That's true.
I
That's true.
don't really care about this heretic anymore.
That's true. Well, he does take his time.
Your sweet time about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Assuming before we fade to black, I think Akalon will probably... First, he'll probably keel over and retch, because aside from the vision, that was a pretty harrowing experience. He's not actually been privy to a torture before, except his own, of course, technically.
Of course.
But then again, he didn't see that one.
No, he just felt it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's so much not as bad as seeing one, of course.
Well, basically, I'm pretty sure you couldn't open your eyes, so even if you wanted to, you wouldn't see the horribleness that it would be.
True. Anyway, Yeah.
So
And
I think, well, if Francesca hasn't walked too far away, I think she would notice that and ask, "Are you all right, Akelon?" By all means, let us know.
And the interrogation itself, I am unused to it. That was in itself somewhat harrowing, but I have had another vision.
In there?
Yes, the heretic. I looked upon him one last time. He became that same armored phantom, but its chest was torn open, and within it two things noticeable. 10 artifacts like those ones I mentioned before.
Yeah.
And the galaxy, the whole span of the galaxy contained within the cavity of a spectral demon's chest. I don't know.
No. First and foremost, please go from here directly to the chapel. Pray. Yes. Have one of the confessors there listen to your confession. Cleanse yourself and your conscience before the Emperor.
Yes.
And then please do write everything down that you have seen so far of this alleged phantom. Everything from the very first time you experienced this up until now. Because I wanted to go into the library of this place. This is obviously very significant.
Yes, I have. I will add this latest vision to my notes. But first, allow me leave to go and confess and cleanse my soul.
Please do. And when you have done, and when you are ready, come by my quarters. I just want to make sure you're all right.
Thank you. I will. And with that, he quite briskly makes his way off towards the chapel.
Yes.
Out of character a moment now.
Okay.
Last session, our dearest scout sniper Tim wandered after a preacher who entered into some kind of drinking establishment with cherubs and people killing preachers because they found it amusing because that he failed in missions. Would this in any way relate to the confessions of this most recent of heretics?
It definitely sounded like it.
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
Might be worth Tim bringing it up at some point.
I think he would, as well. I think actually once Akelon has left.
Okay.
All right. Well.
So, Francesca.
Indeed, I'm listening.
While you were apprehending the prisoner, the heretic, I followed another back to an establishment, a cantina, mostly occupied by gangers in cherub masks.
I see, and cherubs, as we know, are in fact, well, the remains of children, infants.
Babies.
Yes, indeed. So, baby faces. I see. Excellently done, by the way, that you did so. That is sterling work. Especially since you are standing here, we have to assume that you weren't spotted.
That is my assumption as well, yes.
Yes.
Out of character, I believe I did check what the place was called, but I personally don't remember it.
Yes, and it was called the Screaming Wheel.
The place was named the Screaming Wheel.
Well, it would seem that is, in fact, then a place. I hesitate to say that it is their headquarters, because for all we know, this particular heretic is only dealing with a small group of something much larger. We don't know that for sure, but my point is, if they were able to infest the mind of a bishop of a bishop, then I somehow doubt that it is a small group of heretics operating out of a scummy cantina somewhere in the Middle Hive. It just does not add up.
I assume they are as much middlemen as the preachers are.
Exactly. They probably work for someone much higher up in the system as well.
Who might then in turn be working for someone higher up yet.
Indeed, it's this. For all we know, this could go all the way to the top in this in this hive, but we don't have any proof of that yet. But it does pay to be suspicious. In fact, the proverbs of the saints teach us to be so.
I imagine we might learn more if we manage to get new prisoners should we go to the Screaming Wheel.
I agree. That was my thought as well. What did you see there, and how many were they, and were they armed?
Oh yes, most certainly. They shut down the preacher I followed, seemingly for sport.
I see. Well, in that case, we are clearly dealing with someone who takes a certain perverse kind of pleasure in blood. There is also a distinctly mystical and somewhat martial feel to the things that Achelon describes, specifically the fact that the skeleton is clad in armor. It strikes me as such. And at this point, Heine, I have Forbidden Lore Heresy. Does this ring any bells whatsoever for Francesca? Is this something that she can find in the recesses of her mind, find any parallels to or whatever?
So, by this, what exactly do you mean?
I'm talking about the iconography that we know about so far, the skeleton and the pyramids and the all these. I mean, we have a fairly complicated picture by now, and I'm grasping at straws here. So Francesca's mind might contain tidbits of. I don't expect that she knows that she knows of anything which is like a carbon copy or anything. But heresy, as far as I, out of character, have understood the 40k universe, they often, it's like tendrils grasping through the universe, where one little bit of this reaches another planet and evolves into something slightly different there, and so on and so forth.
Right. Could you give me a test?
Well, I can. I can certainly.
Let's see here. Yeah. Well, so here's what you do know without actually rolling, is that
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Well, so this idea of spreading heresy through these through street preachers isn't unique to this situation. This happens quite often, in fact.
Yeah,
it's a common method of spreading heresy.
Yes, I figure, because let me guess, it's got something to do with the fact that the common imperial citizen simply does not know enough of the imperial creed to be able to recognize it as heresy until it's too late.
Yes. And usually the cases that Sister Francesca has studied, the tendrils, as you so eloquently put it, reach into the upper spires of whichever hive city
gets hit.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of these tendrils going upwards. Well, that... Wait a second. Wait a second. She stops right where she's, basically one foot lifted like she's about to step forward. And then she takes one look at the tricorn and her eyes just keep scanning upwards and outwards. This is a hive city. They're usually quite triangular because they have to be.
Yes.
They're usually quite, I don't know, pyramid-shaped.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
And the skeleton stood at the top of shit.
I was just about to suggest my own thing, but you clearly had some sort of realization.
Yes. Let me try to... this is just a hypothesis. There's no evidence of this, but right now hypotheses are pretty much what we have to go by. We agree that Achelon has described seeing a black armored skeleton on several occasions, correct?
Yes.
And he has seen this allegedly or probably potentially demonic being standing on top of a pyramid, correct?
You have a better knowledge of his visions than I, but I believe so, yes.
Yes. And the thing is, if you look at this method of spreading heresy, this idea of using street preachers, that is not uncommon at all. That happens quite frequently because common imperial citizens know very little about the imperial creed when it comes down to it. They might be able to recite the necessary and most common prayers, but they do not actually know that much about the imperial creed. It is an incredibly complex text. Even the most knowledgeable and ancient of our clergy knows. I don't think anyone except the High Lords of Terra actually knows everything in the Imperial Creed. So my point here is it's easy to corrupt commoners this way because they don't know that what they're listening to is heretical until it's too late and they're already corrupt. But if we're thinking of this skeleton standing on top of a pyramid, we are currently in a hive city, which is quite pyramid-shaped.
Well, that ties in perhaps with what I was about to suggest, because I'm not particularly familiar with psychers and their visions, but an armor-clad figure would indicate to me that they are protected, perhaps in a fortified position.
That is also, and that is a very good point. But again, if we just continue with this hypothesis, as it still is, of the hive city being the pyramid, then something is at the absolute top of this structure, living in the highest parts of the spire, which is behind this heresy. And that creature, whoever he or she or it may be, is, well, they are in the best protected part of the spire by far. The upper spire is impenetrable to normal attack. I think anything short of an orbital bombardment would probably fail in doing serious damage to it. So
And we have an Inquisition crippled by politics, having their
Yes,
authority questioned by the local police force.
Indeed. Well, the Adeptus Arbites aren't exactly local. They are kind of everywhere. But I totally agree. That is an important additional point to make. That the Inquisition here is hamstrung by this politicking, and we need to find evidence of this. We have to find evidence, because we cannot go to the Inquisitor with this as we have it now. This is what we can do and should do, is make a formal report on this, on what we have learned. We should wait until the Master Medici obviously has his whatever information he can give us, and we will take that into account.
Of course.
And then we will send... I will write a report including our hypotheses, and make a note, a very clear notification that this is merely speculation at this point. And then you and I and the other two are heading back down there, and we're heading to that particular cantina, and we need to get prisoners.
Yes, I would also advise that we do limit the number of people we tell this to, as we are thinking that a top figure might be behind it. We do not know who and how far their reach extends.
No. We don't really have much choice except to tell Inquisitor Dax, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but that is the situation. She is the Inquisitor for whom we work. We are not independent of her. So we have no alternative but to let her know. But what I will do is direct the information to her for her eyes only, and I will make sure that it does not go via Trinia, for example. Or Trina, not Trinia, that's a different campaign.
Yes, and should the heresy turn out to be even worse than anticipated, we will probably know soon enough.
If this includes any member of the Inquisition, Emperor forbid, but if that is the case, our lives are... I sincerely doubt we would make it anyway, because, quite frankly, if the Inquisition on Scintilla is involved in something like this, the most likely outcome is that a higher ranked Inquisitor somewhere else is going to say, this planet cannot be saved anymore, and it will be bombed from orbit into absolute obliteration. We will be subject to exterminatus.
We would likely be dead by then.
We would certainly be dead before it came to that point. But we have a responsibility to make sure it does not. Now, that's, again, speculation. I choose to believe that Inquisitor Dax is, in every sense, not involved in this. And let's face it, if she was, this is probably the best evidence we can have. If she was, why would she ask us to continue our investigation based on something as... let's face it, something as intangible as our first visit to the Middle Hive? That was, we heard a heretical street preacher and thought that was a problem, brought it back here, and her first reaction is, this needs to be investigated further. That tells me one of two things. One, she wants this to be resolved, which means that she cannot possibly be involved in it. And secondly, that she quite probably already had some kind of suspicion that something was going on.
I agree. I do like to consider every possible scenario, but the one being painted, should she be involved, is not one I can win in any case.
No.
So there's no worth dwelling on it.
Exactly. It's we are, however, in a position where we have to consider that anyone, except her and us, is a potential enemy.
Yes.
Very well. Let us go about our business and wait until the others are ready, and then probably get a good night's sleep before we go down there.
I agree.
Okay. So you scatter, and Sister Francesca, what do you do? What do you how do you spend the time?
Francesca, first and foremost, has to make sure that the her new armaments are properly calibrated. So she will go to the firing range and incinerate. I'd probably turn half of the targets into smoldering slag heaps before being satisfied, and then she will head back to she will head to the chapel, to one of the chapels, probably not necessarily the largest one. She will probably prefer to find a place which is more private this time.
Okay.
And she will pray and meditate on everything that has happened. And she will mortify her flesh in this case, because this is a matter of coming face to face with foul denizens of the warp. She is definitely going to use well, not a Celise. She doesn't use one of those, but she will use a what's it called? A scourge, and literally whip herself while praying.
Okay. Medea, how does Medea spend the time until they meet up again?
It depends on how long it takes to kill that guy.
It takes quite a long time, and as it happens, the slow death takes place, and Salmanis is actually quite talkative. He's talking about this and that, and basically, yeah, he's having a jolly good time.
The man is a raving psychopath. I'm just pointing it out.
And she feels right at home.
Yeah, and she actually learns that the reason why he wants to keep the body, the corpse, is that he and some of his fellow Medici from Officio Medici, which is the big organization that the Medici are trained with and are loyal to. They believe, he and this group of fellow Medici believe that they're on the verge of finding out which physiological processes in the brain creates heretical urges, and this prisoner, former prisoner, now dead person, is to be a
sack
test
of
subject.
useless meat.
Yes. Is to be used in those studies. But yeah, other than that, he's talking about, like I said, this and that, and if Medea is interested, he's more than happy
But she asks
to
questions like, "Ooh, can you really see that in the brain?"
You wouldn't believe the things we can see in the brain, and then he goes off on on a long-winded description of the wonders of the brain.
Something tells me that Medea is going to spend points in intimidation and torture and interrogation.
Yep.
In fact, I think we can sum it all up in one word. It's not interrogation; it's interrogation.
Yep.
I tried inquiry, it didn't work.
Nope. It so
I
and
tried bluffing, that didn't work either.
so yeah, he's more than happy to explain whatever.
Exhausting my things, you know.
Whenever Medea asks questions, he's happy to answer them, and not only answer them, but to demonstrate. And so you spend quite a long time in his company, talking about nasty stuff. And
Roll a save or become pregnant.
Nope.
Ew.
Nope. There's no such save in the game.
I'm sorry. You're just pregnant then.
Nope. And let's say the entire séance takes 3 hours.
All right.
And as I understood it, the intention is for you to gather and go back into the hive the next morning. So that still leaves quite a bit of time. There's, let's say it's 8 in the evening.
All right. Well, she thanks for his time and leaves him to do whatever he needs to do now.
Well, he needs to transport the course back to the Medicae section of the Tricon, and well, he bids you a fond farewell, and yeah, he leaves.
And I guess he sends his findings on a little later.
Yeah, he'll and he actually says this to Medea, that he'll bring he'll have to reorganize his notes before giving it to you, and he'll make sure that you have them as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
You have a splendid evening.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure he will.
And then she walks off humming. This was interesting.
That guy is so creepy.
Thinking that
I
if
ship it.
he can actually find out if there's a heretical connection between brains, then maybe make a scanner, and then you can just scan them and find out if they are heretics or not. That would be very cool.
Yeah,
it would be.
it'll make your jobs a hell of a lot easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, it would.
It beeps on you, shoot you in the head, beep on you.
Until we then learn that he is in fact a heretic, and all the people we've been killing are innocent.
Exactly.
Well, then we shoot him, and then we check his brain.
Yep. So
The blood god.
yeah, well,
I'm pretty sure that it was a big help that it were the Tricon finding Medea before the Chaos Gods. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure they're very, very, very sorry they let her go.
yes.
I'm sure they're very, very sorry they never got to her.
So is there anything else Medea would like to do before the next morning?
Well, she goes to train a little with her new toy.
Okay.
Making hell of a mess and noise down in the shooting range.
Yeah. So both she and Sister Francesca are down at the shooting range at some point during the evening, and the quartermaster, somewhat exasperated, mentions, or at least lets them know, that he actually has to order new targets, and he has to put in requests for new targets quite often due to the frequency of
with an alarming regularity these days.
Exactly. And
Medea tries to look like this is Daddy, and Daddy is kind of annoyed because she drank all the milk again. It isn't working, but she is trying.
Yeah.
She is trying to look shameful over giving him extra work, but
A for effort.
Then she just fires another grenade and goes, "Hey, it has blew up."
Francesca does actually, when he says this, she does put the safety on the flamer and turns off the little blue nozzle flame in front of both barrels. And she nods to him and says, "I understand, Quartermaster, and I do apologize for the additional work that I have caused you. However, it is important to familiarize yourself with new weaponry."
Oh no, it's fine. I'm just giving you a hard time. It's fine. And I've considered requesting a holographic shooting range.
I suppose that would at least make that request situation so much the easier.
Yes. But we'll see.
If you want a better incentive to actually get it, we can start firing some more rounds.
I think we have done quite enough collateral damage for now, Medea. There are other acolytes who also need to destroy targets in this place, I'm sure.
Well,
I've actually never seen Trina in here even once.
Well, I know she's been here because Tim told us that he had met her in here.
Once?
Yes.
She does visit from time to time.
She's also a more accomplished acolyte than we are. It is worth remembering.
Sure, but if you don't, keep what you have up to date, then...
Oh, yeah. For all we know, she practices on live targets.
Yes,
Probably.
she does. I've had the honor of witnessing her in the field, and
I imagine she is extraordinarily good. She does carry herself with an air of self-confidence of the type that comes with having a reason to be self-confident rather than just thinking you do.
Indeed.
Speaking of collateral damage, was it you or them who blew up the building you were in? She looks at the...
Neither, actually. It was a matter of crashing the shuttle into it after they shot it out of the sky using a rocket launcher. A missile launcher. But yes, they shot us down with a man-portable missile launcher, and well, I protected the prisoner because we needed the information that he carried, obviously.
Yeah,
we
got quite a lot out of him.
Achelon, yes, I'm glad to hear that. And Achelon was, well, let's just say he was black and blue in several places where he shouldn't be black and blue when he crawled out of the debris, but at least he obviously survived.
Is Achelon with us? Is this the next day? Or...
No, this is still during the evening, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yes, Achelon's, if he ever hears you say that, he's going to have some very stern words with you, because that's not what happened. But yes, he was useful. He kept the prisoner in cover while you were busy shooting the bad guys.
She never said that. She never said that. She said that when he crawled out of the debris of the crashed vehicle, he was black and blue in places where he shouldn't be.
But he survived.
The way you said it made it sound like she was doing all the legwork while he was sort of concussed in the corner.
No, that was not the intention, genuinely. So okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just happy we got there before they fired another round at you.
Well, so am I. Though, in fairness, I think, when the firefight broke out, some of them did not actually have weaponry with sufficient range, whereas I did. So they were in a significant amount of trouble at this point, but that's not the same as saying I don't appreciate your timely arrival. Although, next time, may I suggest not very nearly killing yourself in another crash.
I've seen it, in
Vids.
dreams. That it could be very cool, joining a fight like that. I just had to try it.
I'm glad that you survived.
Hey, had I died of it, it would be my own stupidity. But at least it was fun as hell.
You are something else, Medea.
What?
You are something else, she says, and smiles crookedly inside her helmet. But she does sound like it's said in a good-natured tone of voice.
Medea lifts a brow, a little confused, and looked back at Quasar. Well, thanks for putting up with us. Our excessive use of your targets.
That's what they're there for. So
let us head back. I must go to the well, I know there's a small chapel in the building over there and tend to use it.
Okay.
Alright. I have a feeling that they leave together, and while they're walking, Medea says, "You think I could, target practice with a car?"
No.
But that would make the entry a lot safer next time.
Let's make sure there isn't a next time for you to do that. You will never be able to make that kind of entry safe, however much you practice, because vehicles cannot be controlled that precisely when they are blowing up. And I would very strongly prefer to keep my team in one piece. Just saying.
Medea sucks. You're no fun at all.
Nope, I'm a sister of battle.
And on that, I think we'll fade out because that's brilliant. Okay, so Accolon and let's take Accolon first. Is there anything you would like to do before the next morning?
Aside from praying and confessing my sins, I suppose, not really. Confessing the sin of...
We are all sinners!
Yes. Confessing the sin of being a psyker, confessing the sin of being weak of stomach in the face of a righteous interrogation of a filthy heretic to the ways of the God Emperor, those sorts of things.
Okay.
And, praying and... I suppose you can't really fast if it's just for one night. That's not really fasting. That's just skipping dinner.
Yep.
Skipping dinner.
But he does that anyway because it's the thought that counts. In a psyker's case, quite literally.
Yep.
A point.
Yep.
Yes, that's what he does. So no.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Tim, is there anything you would like to do before the next morning?
Yes.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I think the Tim will actually try to find the Trina.
Oh, well.
Why are you looking for the she-devil? She'll always find us anyway.
Is she there? Yeah, she would be.
No, she's up at the top of the pyramid, talking to the whatever creature is inside the black ark.
I don't think John likes her.
No, she doesn't. She really doesn't. So Tim does find Trina. She's actually in the library.
Oh. In that case, he will approach. Are there the same library rules as in our world that you must be quiet and not disturb people?
No. Well, it's expected that if you see a fellow acolyte deep in study, you don't bother the fellow acolyte.
Is she in deep study then?
No, she does. She is reading what appears to be a data slate, but It's not like she doesn't look like she doesn't want to be disturbed.
In that case, Tim walks up and stands on the other side of the table. Acolyte Holster, may I have a word?
You may, Acolyte Tiki.
And he sits down opposite her. Now, I apologize if I am misunderstood in this, but I have gotten the impression from you that you are not fond of me, and if I have caused any offense, I should like to apologize and ask if there's anything I can do to improve our relationship.
You would be correct, Acolyte Tiki.
Tilky.
Sorry, Tilky. She does say that. It was just me being stupid.
You're not stupid, Heine.
But
Nope.
It's an easy letter to miss.
Yes.
It's nothing personal for what it's worth. I'm not fond of anyone. So yeah, she looks back down at that slate she was reading, as if that concludes the conversation.
So I have not caused offense then,
No.
outside of existing.
No, outside of existing, no.
She's the opposite of Medea. She doesn't like anyone. Medea likes everyone. She's sure everyone can taste equally well.
I was about to say, she likes everyone, especially slightly buttered and poached.
Yep. So, may I ask what caused this? What? How did you get the impression that I don't like you? Which I don't.
Well, frankly, you seem to have a rather sadistic glee whenever you tested me or similar.
Well, that's true, I suppose. And then she looks down again at the desk slate.
Now I suddenly like Trina. At least she's honest about it.
Yeah.
I don't have a resting bitch face. I invented it. Now fuck her off, peasant.
Well, I often find that good personal relationships make a working relationship run more smoothly.
Whereas I often find that decent relationships are in the way of doing the God Emperor's work. You know? If I care for someone, that's emotion. And emotion really isn't effective when you work as an inquisitorial agent.
Tim looks thoughtful for a brief moment and then shrugs and says, well, a good personal relationship doesn't require emotional investment on both parts. It can easily be faked.
She laughs. So, I should fake liking you? Would that give us a good personal relationship?
Well, not in this case, because I would know you're doing it. But yes, that is the theory. I have extensive experience on the matter. He smirks.
Huh. How quaint.
And then she looks back down.
Yep.
Here he is being all flirty and shit. And then she doesn't really care.
I think this is going to be a rivalry romance.
No, because she doesn't like him.
Yes, that's why it's a rivalry romance.
Also,
Oh, she's a
Tim's
yandere.
just
Yeah.
well, I'm glad to know that I'm not Coast Offense. That was really all I came for. And he most too.
I do have a question though.
Ask.
Have I caused offense?
I don't often bother being offended. So no. I wouldn't say so.
All right. Fair enough.
She says and looks slightly disappointed.
I like Trina. Trina and Medea would be very good friends if they actually liked each other.
Yeah.
But they don't.
She looks at Tim and says, "Well, good chat."
Yes. I believe I should enjoy it if we had another competition, should you be interested. Otherwise, I shall leave you to your studies.
Thank you. And she looks down.
And he gets up and leaves.
Okay, cool. So,
Oh
let's,
my god.
let's fast forward a bit, and well, before we do that, well, we can fast forward, then we can take a break, and then we can be back with the last.
I know what species she is, by the way.
Oh,
Vulcan?
As
Ice
holy as Mega Maximus.
no. She is.
Yes.
Creeposaurus Rex.
Well, I like that one, so yeah, let's do that. Anyway, we'll be right back with the last hour of this episode of Hereticus.